and welcome to Fallawsophy. I'm your host, Jennifer Fallaw-Doering, and my philosophy is to believe in infinite possibilities. So I want to get on here today real quick, probably have about an hour, and talk about a few things. There's a lot of misconceptions running around about psychics, and psychics get a raw deal. They really do. It is true that there are a lot of people out there who don't have very good intentions and maybe speaking to entities or using energies that are not actually divine. But and I've come across them. I've seen them. But for the most part, when people figure out that they're psychic and they actually are on a spiritual journey and they start to open up to their gifts, they're basically opening up to function as a soul. And somewhere along the way, I'd say most of them have good intent and the desire to help people. And psychics are we name them psychics because they have tuned into their perception more as a soul than a body. And they're usually people that think outside of the box. They're people that reject limitations and, not so much rules, because most of them are just functioning people in society. But they also search for something more. They've had experiences. They know, well, why did that happen? And why did I see that? And why did I hear that? Why did I feel that? And how do I know these things? And why does everybody come to me for advice? Psychic individuals are as individuals snowflakes. You really, if you're going to go to somebody, you really have to get to know them, what their area of expertise is, what their gifts that they've discovered so far are. And some people have very many. It's kind of eclectic. They do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That would be me. A little bit of this, a little bit, maybe a lot of that. But you just tune into somebody and just really listen. If you go to, well, I'll get into this in a minute. But I would just like to tell everybody, we've got, if you're tuning in live, it is the 3rd of February, 22. And what I'm going to talk about this for a little while, and then we're going to do some questions from the chat. So be sure that you put your questions. I am streaming on my 2 YouTube channels, Jennifer Fallaw-Doering and Beacon of Light Radio today, because I really want to see all the numbers in one place. When you do on all these different pages and everything, you just don't really get all those people actually going to the YouTube. And yeah, it might get taken down, but whatever. So comment on the YouTube chats if you're on Jennifer Fallaw-Doering. I put the link all over the pages, on Facebook, on Telegram, and actually don't comment on the post there. Comment in the chat, and we'll get to the questions about anything in a little bit. And I see the chat's filling up. Thanks, guys, for being here. And another thing is most of my shows are timeless. Yeah, we'll do questions and talk about things that are happening in the current time, but there's always something that you can tune into, a topic to learn about, useful information. So you can go back to any of the shows, any of the philosophy shows on Jennifer Fallaw-Doering, and I think they're both on Beacon of Light Radio YouTube as well. And just binge watch, because there's a lot of information in there. So what I've been getting lately, I've been opening up. I've been going back to Facebook because for a while there, I thought, um, being kind of on the inside and hearing some things, I thought maybe that it would get taken down. And there's so much censorship over there that, like I had a wonderful testimonial file where people would comment about the healings and the readings and the good that, the goodness they received from whatever I did for them for years. And I go over there and it's gone. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So I'm going to try. I put a post over there in my group. I have quite a large private group. Nobody's going to see your posts. It's called Free Psychic Readings, Beacon of Light. There's little asterisks in the middle between those two. Free Psychic Readings, Beacon of Light. Get on over there. Join if you're still on Facebook, because you can ask. You can you post on the group wall. It'll go to a pending file, but you can post a picture and one specific question, and you can get one free question a week over there. Plus, it's a big community of people, and everybody gathers around everybody if something's going on. I do have other readers there who have been with me since, I don't know when I started the thing, 2013. I mean, I don't let just anybody read in the group. It's not that I don't, the group's pretty much full of psychics, but I know these people very well. They have donated their time for free to help people in that group, and they're allowed to advertise. They're allowed to put up their websites. I trust them completely and know that they are completely legitimate. So if you get over there and somebody else reads you, doesn't matter. You're gonna get a good read. So what I've been getting lately is, since I've been on other shows, Real News Live on Rumble, and I think it's mikebera.blogspot.com. I don't have a banner for that, but I've been on his show 3 times a week. And we talk about, what's going on in the world, politics, and it's kind of a deeper dive into it, to say the least. And I do predictions, world predictions, on what I see coming. I go and talk to God, Jesus, the angels, and try to give people what I got, to help them move forward, to keep going, to get hope, and I need it too. And I do that over there. And ever so often, someone will come around and say that I'm evil. And I say, oh, the Bible says mediums are evil. Well, I'm sure there's probably is, or was some. I guess that would depend on who you're talking to, who the medium is talking to. A medium is an interpreter. It stands between the person asking the questions and the spirit, or somebody here on this side who can speak to spirit. I choose to speak to higher vibrational entities, God, Jesus, the angels, archangels, a handful of archangels. I'm not just, and I'm very specific about who I speak to. I don't think that's fair, because one line that's always stuck in my head every time I heard that is, he has spoken through the prophets. Now, what makes you a prophet? I really don't know. I mean, I guess you could call me a prophet if I'm talking to Jesus and angels and God and stuff like that, but I just feel like that's kind of egotistical to say I'm a prophet, like I don't like the labels. I've never liked the labels. So I don't do that. But what I have seen some bad people. Okay. I have seen some bad people in the spiritual community, and all you psychics listen to me. You know what I'm talking about. You got people, if anybody comes out, starts talking to you and reading you, and the first thing they do is start pulling out your deepest, darkest fears, or saying you got a curse on you. But if you send me like $1,500, I can get rid of it. Run fast. Because they're not talking to the divine. They're not talking to your loved ones. They're not talking to somebody that would, because your loved ones don't want to scare you. They come from heaven. They come from a divine place. They're just going to give you whatever you need to keep going and be okay. The angels don't want to scare you. I mean, it's not that you're always going to hear everything you want to hear. You're going to hear what you need. But it's going to be presented in a way that is constructive. They're not going to come out and say, "Oh my God, I think you're going to die." Somebody's got like health anxiety, and that's the worst possible thing they could have said. That's basically because that person thinks they're talking to, my favorite one is my guides. Now, there are a lot of psychics who know who their guides are, and they pray and they talk to their guides, and they're very, everybody has guides. Everybody has truly divine guides and guardian angels. But there's people that don't know who the hell they're talking to. And they just say, well, it's my guides. Okay, well, what are your guides' names? Do you know who your guides are? I mean, are you just walking out into the ghetto and opening the door and letting anybody walk in and say, with a guide patch on their shirt and say, hey, guess what? That's called psychic protection. And there's a lot of things that psychics learn along the way to keep that information pure, that communication pure. And that's always a struggle. But for what I have seen from mediums, you know what? When you've lost somebody and you're grieving, I don't care who you are, human. If you're human, I don't care if you're a psychologist, whatever. There is nothing more healing and more loving than to be that person that gives that person, that lets them talk to them, even if it's just one last time. There is nothing more healing than that for someone who's grieving. And I don't do them a lot because it's very emotional. It is very emotional. Sometimes you get too close. You kind of have to be like a doctor and stand back a little bit and just be that interpreter. Because if you get too close to it, you're right in the emotions and the crying and everything else too. And but I have seen, just not from me, but from other people, that beautiful connections that have been made that a person will never forget. And sometimes it's just that one little thing that they need to keep going. And there's nothing evil about that. I don't like anything that puts limitations on God. Humans love to do that. They like to classify everything. They like to put labels on everything. They like to put everybody in levels. Oh, you're good, you're bad, you're this, you're that. You can't do this, you can't do that. I've learned enough along the way, and I don't know everything. Trust me, I'm still on the journey. I'm still learning. I got a lot to learn, but I've learned some things. And anything that puts God in a very small place and separates you from him, I would question. Because something inside you tells you that can't be true. That's not what I know. That's not what I feel. That's not what I've experienced. And everything that I've learned from, most everything I've learned, I'd say the large majority of everything I learned from the archangels and Jesus and God and meditation, and just needing that personal guidance. And along the way, I figured out I could do it. And when you stay centered in that kind of deep love, high vibration, you want to give it to others. I'm just that kind of person anyway. If I go out to dinner with my husband, he laughs at me all the time. He's like, I don't want your food. Okay, you can have your food, but every time I find something that's good, like, oh my God, this is great, you want to bite? You got to try this. It's great. Anytime I find something good, I want to share it. Big sharer. And so when I started doing these things for myself, I wanted to do it for other people. And you'll be able to feel that in people, you know? So just use your discernment when reaching out, because when you go to a psychic, you're opening up your energy for them to read, and they do it in many different ways. Some people are clear audient, they hear things, they see things, they feel things. They talk to spirit, they talk to angels, they pray, and the trick to interpreting all this information, not the trick, but I guess the mastering of it. You never master it, but what I'm trying to say is experience is key. You really want to you want to give somebody a shot who's practicing, and I practiced for years before I charged. I did that in many ways, but you really want to go to somebody who is experienced, because they know what truth feels like, and they know how, okay, well, I see this, I feel this, I hear this. All right, it's reminding me of this other situation, and this is, and they put all these things together to give you an answer. But I don't think it's fair to say, oh, that person's, I've never been into like tarot and cards and all this other stuff, just basically because I learned to do it one way. And I can't be retaught. I'm just kind of like, I'm not good at it. I read the cards and I look at the angels and say, well, what do you think that means? It's like, oh, what a pretty card. I have some angel cards. They're very beautiful. But just because they're actually supposed to be used as cues. It assists you to connect. So let's say somebody walks up and, hey, can you pull a card for me? So they pull a card out, and that card helps them tune into that topic, or it's kind of like a starter for them, and then they go off with their own intent in interpretation of it. I don't like. There are certain things that I've been told to stay away from. Scrying, looking into. They told me that right away, and I was surprised by that. And I'm like, okay. The problem with scrying is looking into like a crystal ball or water or something and seeing an image. The problem with that is that you got all kinds of good guys around, right? You got all kinds of bad guys around too. And if you're looking into something like that, it's real easy for a bad guy to put an image in there, to put a thought in your mind, to scare you in some way, and to get in the middle of that. So the best place, if you're using any kind of tool, never use a Ouija board, okay? And some people will argue with me, but I have seen some things in some houses and cleansing houses, because I have the ability to project my consciousness into the house, travel there, and on that level, I can see the angels. Jesus is there. Angels are there. And I've seen some things. Some bad guys scare the crap out of me if I saw it outside of that projection. But maybe not so much anymore. But what I have seen from a tool like that is that your intent is everything. And so if you're using something like that and asking anyone to communicate with you, there will be somebody that shows up, and it probably won't be good. And what happens when somebody shows up and it's probably not good is you can open portals into other lower vibe. They let their friends in, and now your house has got a big hole in the wall, and any guy from any lower vibrational energy dimension can just walk right in, and that's a problem. So stay away from that. The other thing I don't like, and everybody's going to argue with me, is we're taught to fear God. Those are two polar opposites. I mean, that makes no sense to me at all. Fear God, because he will strike you down if you are not good and obedient and this and that. Well, even as a child, I was like, really? We're supposed to fear our parents? I mean, I love my parents. I usually do everything. I get trouble and stuff, but I do things because it makes them happy. And if you love God, it takes the separation away. And you don't do all the things that you're not supposed to do if you fear God. You stay centered in love. You do these things because you love God, because you understand that that's not who I am. Why would you want to hurt somebody? If that's part of God, you love God. So the truth is in the Bible. And I asked, the truth is in the Bible. But it has been manipulated, little here, little there, one word, phrase, by man many times, over and over again, to support a narrative. God is real. Jesus is real. Heaven is real. Everything is infinite possibilities. And so I'm hesitant to, they tell you word for word. Why do they tell you that? Because they want you to, just like the news, they want you to believe a certain thing. This is humans. Okay. But they told me the truth is in there. It will speak to you. You pray before you read the Bible, and you pray and you say, show me the truth here. Show me how it relates to me. And disregard any of the other stuff. And it's a wonderful thing. But God also said he would never leave us alone. And you will receive messages through your family, through songs, many ways. Never stops trying to get through to you. Never stops trying to help you. And so don't be so quick to jump to a place of judgment, especially if you haven't done your homework. Because I'm pretty sure, I'm not saying I'm great. I'm not saying, I'm perfect, because I'm not. All kinds of faults over here. Big procrastinator in some areas. But just tune into a person, do your homework before you start throwing things out, telling somebody they're evil. Because if you ask me, and if somebody were to follow me for a long time, I reject all evil. I reject all evil. And I just do the best I can in my spot, in my place, in this whole big story, to do the best I can for people. And try to keep that, pure. Try to, pure divine intent. And, I get mad and, maybe, I do stuff. Not a lot of stuff, but, you know what I mean? Don't go after somebody and say, I had people come and say, you're evil. You're misleading people. You're the devil, and you're not talking to God. You're not talking to anybody. You're bad, and you're doing all this thing. And I'm like, rude. First of all, hello, who are you? Have you watched anything I've done? Have you talked to anybody who's talked to me? Because everybody walks away feeling better, And one thing I've learned along, evil cannot maintain the facade of love for long. Take a look at really bad people. They'll be very charming. They'll look pretty, handsome. They'll say and do everything to make you feel like they are the greatest. But that never lasts for long, does it? You get home, And you get into the real thick of it and the real life, and it starts to, the whole facade starts to fall away, and you see it and you feel it. And, especially, and everybody else thinks this person is great, right? Because they're good at convincing people that they are. Talk to the people that are closest to them. And you'll see. But we really need to take a step back in judgment of others and say, well, what do I see? What is their intent? What are they really doing? What are the results in people of what they're doing? And don't throw insults out without enough information. That's why a lot of us psychics, and for many, many years, there's been people that, like Sylvia Browne, wrote lots of books and came out in the open and kind of opened it up for everybody, others too. And along the way, it's become something more accepted. But, if somebody's searching, if somebody's reaching, and somebody needs something, why wouldn't God want there to be people to get that message to them? You can talk to God. You can learn to listen. He will talk to you. Yes, there are good angels. I'm starting to think we're all angels, maybe. I haven't looked into that much, but if you take a look at it, it's interesting. But yeah, I heard the story about the bad angels came down at one time, and they fell in love with women and they had children and all that stuff. I reject any of those if that is true. I don't have anything to do with that. But I have seen some psychic people take a person who is just broken and battered and bring them to a place where they're like, yeah, I could do this. I can do this. And sometimes they just need to know a little something to keep going. And there's nothing evil about that. Because the funny thing is some, people's vibrations are rising. And someday people are going to realize that everybody's psychic. They just weren't listening. That these people just kind of jumped on early. God will always send helpers. There will always be teachers and helpers and healers and he's not going to send you into a world with nothing but evil. Sometimes we look around and we see nothing but evil. But we're forgetting all the love and the goodness and the happiness and the joy and the laughter that we have experienced too. So don't be so quick to throw that around just because somebody is reading cards or talking to people who've passed away, or the souls that are earthbound, ghosts. Not all of them are bad. A lot of them are just people that are just very confused. Maybe they didn't have. There's some of them that I've crossed over. It's the rules and the religion and and there are many beautiful religions. Don't get me wrong. I was raised Catholic. I actually taught catechism classes for a long time. But there are people from years ago, generations ago, who believed that they weren't acceptable to go to heaven. So they stuck around. They're like, no, I wouldn't be accepted because I did this or I did that. And then there's angels that will come in. Actually, my guardian angel, Nancy, call her Nancy because she told me to. She's the one that crosses all spirits over. Beautiful. She's like all white clothing and wings and everything. And then she's got this chestnut brown hair. It's just beautiful. And her voice is just so angelic. And I'm pretty sure I caught it on an EVP one time. I mean, I can't even sound that angelic. I can't even do it. I've tried it, like, she came on the EVP one time and she goes, "It's almost time." I mean, I can't even do it. So I'm like, wait a minute. That is not a ghost. That is not a ghost. But right after that, I was crossing a bunch of spirits over in this one place. But some of them just actually believe they would not be accepted, and the angels come in and they talk to them. And this whole concept about there's no portals, there's no other dimensions, that's crap, because I've seen them. They open a portal, you can see the other side, they talk to them, and then they walk through with them. It's absolutely beautiful. It'll make you cry. But there are people on this earth to help souls do that. Just because somebody dies doesn't make them scary and bad. Now, there are scary and bad things out there. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, judge a person on their deeds. Like there's somebody out there who's quite famous now. I think she reads cards, Jeannie or something. I don't watch her, but I caught a couple because people posted it. And people are like, "Oh, she does tarot. Tarot's evil. Tarot's evil." And I'm like, yeah, I've never really liked it. I mean, but most people that do it aren't really connecting to the divine. They're just letting in, anything guide them in their mind and their thoughts and interpretations. They're just going by what these cards mean. But I don't think so with her. Like I know a lady who has a radio show on my radio station, Beacon of Light Radio. Here's the banner. Let me see. Bink, right there. Heather Ariel, stage name, but Ariel's House of Astrology on Facebook. If you watch her, she'll do card readings. She's very knowledgeable in astrology, but she'll do card readings, and she's created her own deck. But if you watch her, when she shuffles the cards, she says amen. She stops for a minute. She prays before and says amen. That's what you want to see, because then you've made that connection. Then your information is coming from a higher source. It's not coming to scare you, hurt you, attach to you, use you as a host. That's what you want to see. And so psychics will receive information in many different ways, and have many areas of specialties. Some people see ahead, some people talk to spirit, some people hear things, some people feel things, some people read energy, some people, just like I said, individual snowflakes. So really get to understand, when you find a psychic, ask them, what is it that is your specialty? Because that's really where they're going to shine. And so you're not going to want to go, and there's not, especially if you're going, you're not going to want to go to a medical intuitive to talk to your grandma who passed away, unless she does that too. So there's not a lot of, like in my group, there's not a lot of medical intuitives that I know. For some reason, and I think it was because I started with the healings first, I have this ability, along with Jesus. I don't do anything alone. I'll say, Jesus, can you help me see inside this person's body and tell me what their problems are? And then I see this almost like a shadow silhouette of them. And then any area that's a concern is like highlighted in medical drawings. It's just like highlighted. And then I start asking him questions, and I hear what he's saying. That is one of my strongest gifts. That would be a specialty of mine. and people will feel very confident, but anything can get in the way of getting an answer. Time periods are approximate. That is because of free will. That is because not all time periods can be given, depending on your life plan and what's going on in your life. Not all answers can be given. And that's not because they're like, well, no, we're not going to tell you everything. It's because of your plan. And when you come into this life, I mean, you don't go out for the day without a plan. Okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store, and then I'm going to go over to the bank, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I come home and make dinner, and everything's planned out, right? We all do that. You're not going to go into a life without a plan. And so if they were to tell you exactly who's coming for you, and you ask, well, who am I going to marry? Oh, well, his name is Justin, and he's about 6 foot tall, and he's got dark hair. He's Justin, Fonzarelli or whatever, and he's going to come and you're going to marry him. Well, Justin may not be coming for like 10 years. And there's a lot of people that you're supposed to be with before that, or you won't be ready for Justin. And so if they told you exactly who it was, you would just sit around and wait for Justin. But if I was wrong in receiving that name and it was actually Jason, you'd be looking for a Justin for a very long time. So, and you might miss Jason. So there's reasons why information comes through the way that it does. And there's certain things that can't be told. Time periods are approximate because it just depends on how many people and how many choices and how many free wills are involved. The best place to, most psychics will give you, okay, so from where I stand now, where do these choices lead me? That's the best question, because you're going to get the best information with that. Because if there's a lot of choices at play, every time somebody say, okay, well, where you stand now, if you choose to stay at this job, I see that, you will eventually get a raise, or you'll eventually get this or whatever. But that person can just get a wild hair and all of a sudden decide, I'm done, and lose their temper and leave. Everything just changed, because of your choices. So, don't assume that a psychic, my point here is, don't assume that somebody's evil. Don't assume that someone is, not legitimate because they didn't have all the answers. Most people just try their best to try it and help people out. Don't assume that psychics know everything, because no one can know everything. And, there's also a factor where if you're afraid to hear something, you're going to put up like a wall. And that person's not going to be able to retrieve that information. It just depends on who you're dealing with. Like, I ask the angels. I always am very specific about who I'm talking to. So when I'm doing a reading, I work with like Jesus, Michael, and Gabriel. And somebody asks me something about health, then I'll talk to Jesus. I'll say, Jesus. All I really have to do is say their name, and then they're listening. Like, I don't have to keep doing it. It's like having a conversation with somebody. You just say, Brett, what do you think about this? And then you have a conversation. You have to keep saying Brett. But, so I'll ask Gabriel, like, okay, as soon as somebody starts talking and asking the question, I'll say Gabriel. And so he knows, okay, I'm doing this one. I'm listening to this. And then, I'll hear the answer in my head, in my own voice. I've assigned him a voice, but that's how it works. And so go to somebody who's a little more specific about who they're talking to, but if anybody, when I talk to the angels, they're very respectful of privacy. I'm not going to know about what goes on in your bedroom. I'm not going to, if you ask me what's going on with your ex and their new girlfriend, and that's none of your business. they won't give me the answer. They'll basically say, that's none of your business. They have told me that is none of your business. Okay. So they do not interfere with that. Oh, the information will come in. Let's say you have kids together and you're concerned about their safety. That information will come in because it's as it pertains to you. But take a look at ask your psychic, whoever you're going to, who are you talking to? Who are you working with? Oh, the universe. Well, there's a lot of bad guys in the universe, and I'd really like to. Can you talk to this person? Can you talk to this? Can you talk to God for me? Can you talk to the angels for me? Can you talk to, my grandma? Somebody I trust. Because if somebody's pulling out your deepest, darkest secrets and scaring you right off the bat, that's not a guide that's talking to them. But I've seen a lot of people out there who really do have good intentions. And, I would steer clear of anybody who calls themselves a master. Because talk to people in the spiritual community. They will, the more they learn, the more they know that there is so much more to learn. They may have, and I don't really think we ever master any of this. You may get pretty good at it, you may be very experienced, you may be seasoned, but all these labels, masters, guru, all this stuff, a lot of ego in there. And that kind of gets in the way. It kind of gets in the way. I mean, it's something we all struggle with, but it gets in the way of being a clean vehicle for information. All right, so I just wanted to say that today. And warning, if anybody comes at me and tells me I'm evil, good luck to you. I'm just kidding. I would just ban you. That's what I'll do, because I don't have time for that. All right, I don't even have time for that. All right, so let's get to our questions. We have quite a few. I'm going to put the other banner up for my website if anybody would like to go to my website. Oh, let's do a commercial before I go to the website, before we do the questions. All right, JenniferFallaw.com is my website. I have, if you are listening live on Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I have my third class in psychic development classes, clairaudience. That's probably going to be a long one. I think it is it's the gift that everyone uses the most, and everybody uses it. Everybody uses it. They just don't listen very well. So we're going to go over that. And we're going to figure out how we can listen to God, to Jesus, to the angels, to your guardian angels, your guides, how you can listen better, and how you can guide yourself through your life, and receive that hope and answers. I also have a yearly reading up. Today is the last day to get that. It's a yearly forecast reading. And what I do is take a look ahead in your life, finances, work, health, family, and relationships. For a 12-month period, we take each one of those, pick it apart. It's an hour reading, but it's kind of hard to do. But so I offer that once or twice a year, and I've had that up for a couple weeks now, and I'm going to take it down. So if it's called a yearly forecast, and you go to the readings and services page on JenniferFallaw.com. And now is your chance today. I'll wait till the end of the day, and I'll probably forget to do it, and I'll take it down tomorrow morning, but I'm going to take it down. So go and get it if you want it. You can schedule as far ahead as you'd like. You schedule right there on the website. Take a look around. I've got shows posted. I've got all kinds of stuff over there, all kinds of readings and healings and things you can get. I think that's it for the announcements. Oh, if you're listening, once again, go to live. Go to JenniferFallaw.com. No. Go to Free Psychic Reading, Speaking of Light. I'm starting that group up again. I used to be very active over there. And me and my girls have been doing a lot of good for people for many years. So go over there, join. You can always find me there as long as they don't take it down. And please join me on Telegram. I am Fallawsophy on Telegram. I am Fallawsophy. There's a Fallawsophy page on Facebook. Jennifer Fallaw-Doering is my personal page on Facebook. All right, so let's get going here with the questions. Let me see. Morning, all. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Diana Lane, I feel people need to have more faith. Yeah, that's an understatement. Faith is hard. It's really easy when everything's going good. It's hard when things are going bad. It's just like, oh my God, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you there, God? Are you going to help me with this? Help me out, And it's just, I want to say one thing. One thing you can do is say, God, send me signs. Send me confirmation of what I'm thinking. Send me guidance that I cannot deny. He will. He does it for me all the time. All the time. I'm like, okay. I'm starting to stress too much. Send me good news. Okay. I'm getting low on money. Send me money. Send me customers. Send me something. Send me some kind of sign. And it's not like, oh, a feather fell out of the sky today. I received like the best signs. And another thing I wanted to say, and I'll just tell you. Little story real quick. After my husband passed away and the kids were little and 4 and 7, I mean, we had the biggest winter ever. I mean, we had 10 feet of snow outside. And I remember I woke up one morning and I wasn't asking anybody for help. I didn't want anybody to worry about me. I'm fine. I have everything under control. I was doing the yard and the house and the kids and it was, it's 4 and 7. That's, there's a lot of work. And so I don't need any help. Everybody's like, well, you could come over there and I could help you do this and that. And I'm like, I don't want to be bothering anybody. I really don't want to feel like that. I'll just do everything myself. And I was getting tired. I was getting really tired. And then I remember I walked outside and, there was no school for Faith. She was 7. And, that day, it's like 3 feet of snow on the driveway. And I'm like, and it was wet, heavy snow. And I'm like, oh, great. Here we go. I'm going to be out here for hours. So I am just shoveling snow. I'm sweating because I've got like jacket on and my hat on. And my glasses are all fogged up and I'm exhausted. I get like a pretty long driveway and I get halfway down the driveway. And, it had probably been 4 or 5 months after he passed. And I'm just like, all right. I just dropped everything halfway through. And I said, okay, I need you. I admit it. I need help. I shit you not. Like 30 seconds, this guy comes right down the road on a 4-wheeler quad with a plow on. Stops right in front of me and says, you look like you need help. And I went, yes. And he said, well, I'm a real estate agent and things are slow. And we were just going into 2008, I think. And he looks at me and he goes, I'll plow this driveway for you for like $15. And I'm like, oh, that was good. I mean, that was good. I couldn't even write it better than that. Right there. And I said, I will pay you every day if you come back here, plow this stupid driveway for me. And it was that quick. And it wasn't until I threw my hands down and I said, let go and give it to God. And that's really when things started changing. I mean, I had always been psychic. I didn't really call myself that. Everybody came to me advice. But when you say you have to, you got free will. And if you keep doing everything yourself, you still have to do things, but do it with him. Let him help you. All right, so that's a cool story. So let's get to these questions. We just got about 10 minutes, and then you guys need to go over to watch Real News Live with Mike Barra. You can find him on YouTube. You can go to mikebarra.blogspot.com, or you can go to Real News Live on Rumble. All right, question about my love life from Kimmy Martinez. I can do with the love of my life. If so, when? Okay, I'm not really. Basically, when do you see a new love coming to me? Kimmy. 13 months. Sorry. Okay, so then we've got, yeah, there is a lot happening right now, Christine. And I want to thank you, Christine Packer. She watches my shows and she keeps track of everything I say because I forget everything. And so I have like spiral notebooks full of stuff. But she said the other day that she keeps track of everything I say. I'm like, you know what? I may need a personal assistant someday, Christine, and I'm going to call you. But there is a lot happening on the world front right now. And you do have to be very careful when talking to spirits. I mean, I could go on and on forever about this. And there's a hair tickling my nose, so that's why I keep doing that. Be very leery if you have child spirits in your home, okay? It's very rare. The only time that a child spirit is going to be around really is if they had like a mental illness, or if their parent is still there. But there's too many reports of child demons like to look like an old woman, a sweet old woman, or a child, and get your trust. So you start talking to them. When you start talking to them, you open up your energy to them, and then they attach to you, and then they drain your life force energy little by little, and they get stronger. Okay, so it's not always a kid. It's usually not a kid. And if I watch these shows and I see, oh, there's a child here, probably not. Okay, very rare. But yes, you do have to be careful when talking to spirits. That's why I always advise people. I never do anything alone. If I do mediumship, I do it with Michael, Archangel Michael, and I ask him to supervise the entire thing. He goes and gets them. He takes them back. We talk to them. If I have any questions about what they're saying, I ask him. I never do readings. I never do healings. I never do anything alone. Nothing. And that's why when you can fix that. All right. My 12-year-old lab had to be put down the other day. He was aware it was his time. Was he aware that it was his time? Was he outside of his body prior to being put to sleep? No, but let's see. Mary Jane's 12-year-old lab. Mary Jane's 12-year-old lab. He was not outside of his body, but it was a relief to go. And he did not view it as you killed him. It was just kind of like, oh, now it doesn't hurt anymore. So animals think differently than we do. When you talk to, it's not one of my specialties, but because of the healings and stuff, and people have asked me to do so, when you speak to an animal, either in spirit, usually it's in spirit, or alive, it's very simple. They don't have all these, thought processes that people do. They either love you or they don't. They're either happy or they're not. They're either, it's either their time to go or not. There's certain things they don't like I don't like the vacuum. Like, why are you acting up in the house? Mommy's worried about you. Why are you doing that? I don't like the vacuum. Okay. It's just very simple. It's very simple. So it was the best decision. Um, yeah, he did not blame you. So let that go. All right, let's see. Looking for a question. We got lots of comments. Do you believe Jesus would turn any of us away over sin? That is religious fear porn. The truth will come out. He loves you unconditionally. Accept him into your heart and do not fear God. He loves you. Very nice, Wally Lane. I was sitting in the church one time, and I was raised Catholic, and the kids, we hadn't been there for a while, and of course it's my fault because I'm lazy, and so, I'm like half-assed Catholic. I tell people that. So I couldn't go to communion, but it was at that time when I was there, I needed to, I wanted to, and I just wanted to. And I didn't want to sit there in the pew by myself and feel like everybody's looking at you like, whoa, she did something. She can't go up there. And I'm like, you're supposed to go to confession before you can do that. And I'm like, I don't even understand that. That's probably man-made. And so I was talking to Jesus in my head. I'm like, Jesus, I really want to go up there. I don't want to sit here by myself. I set the kids up. It's not their fault. And he's like, I said, is it okay to go up there, or is it like a sin? Is it like bad? Am I hit by lightning? And he's like, never refrain from coming to me. And I heard it clear as day in my head, in his voice. And it was almost kind of like a, and I will never forget that. I will never forget that. It's just like the whole concept of me standing in the driveway. You just throw your hands on and say, you know what? I don't have any idea what I'm doing. And I probably have screwed everything up. But I love you and I need you. And please just never, ever give up on me. And that's where it is. And that's what it is. No, he does not turn anyone away. Unless their intent is not true. If your intent is true, if your heart is true when you say, I want to be with you, I want, if somebody's like on the verge of death and they have been terribly evil and hurt a lot of people and stuff, and they're thinking, well, I don't really want to go to the bad place. I'd like to go to a nice place, Jesus, forgive me, please, for everything. They don't really mean it. You got to mean it. You got to mean your prayers. You got to mean what you say. You got to mean it. All right. Okay. Jen, where should I be looking for a new job, or will they give me an incentive to stay where I am? Connie Crawford. They're going to give you an incentive to stay, Connie Crawford, and it's going to be substantial because they don't want to lose any employees. That's going to be great. That's going to come soon. Don't give her a time period. What he said. Okay. My Christine Packer, my sister Carol is having her 4th hip replacement in February. Will she be okay? Wow. Pray for Christine's sister Carol. Yeah, but it's going to hurt and it's going to take a while to heal. So be there to help her. Have people there to help her. She doesn't need to be overdoing it. All right. Kimmy, we did one. Do I believe in reincarnation? Yes. Because I believe in infinite possibilities. And I believe that we are all housed within the body of God. That means we're all part of God. And that's why you're unconditionally loved. And that's why you're never separated from him. And I don't think that, once you have a thought, it creates something. And, I could go on and on, but I only have I've got to get off of here now because Mike's going to do his show. But did you just take one class? I mean, the time that we're here is such a blink, such a small piece of eternity and on. Eternity doesn't even describe how infinite everything is. Why would you just come here? One time. You're not going to learn very much there. You can come here as many times as you want. Free will. Start thinking about can'ts that you've learned, and then start really looking into that concept of free will. And the whole purpose of being here is to experience. God is all-knowing, but without experience, that is not all-knowing. And so that's why he separated himself in a million different ways, so that he could be all of us and to experience everything there is to experience. And every time you experience something, there's something else to experience, isn't there? And so that's why it's infinite. And we have to have all these places available, different dimensions, realities, alternate realities, personal realities, to experience all of that. All right, guys. I think that's about it for today. I will try to do more of these. I've been very busy. And I love you all, and thank you so much for joining me. And go to jenniferfallaw.com if you'd like to contact me. And have a fabulous Thursday. We're almost to the weekend. And keep the faith. Bye.